Alex Lowe's,
Hello, mate.
KRT World Superbike star. How are we?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Decidedly average, but there you go. It doesn't get much better than that. When you get to my age, as you'll find out, everything's average. How was testing, or rather, the 2.5 minutes you spent on track at Jerez due to the weather?
It was a little bit of a waste of time, really, because we had a day and a half sat around drinking coffee and not really doing much. And when we did get to ride, there was quite a lot of damp patches on track. So there's some things we wanted to try, but to be honest, didn't really get to try them properly. So it was a bit of a waste of bit of a. We used half a day. Still this stupid rule where you can use two half a days, and then I think we've got 8 days, have we now at Kawasaki? So we
Yeah.
can have 7 full days and two half a days. So bit of a waste of half a day, really.
What had you got that you weren't able to test? Anything really exciting, or is there something?
To be honest, there's not enough new stuff really in terms of the. I felt like at some points the gap was quite big to the others. It's just small steps. Some stuff from Showa, some stuff from Kawasaki Japan, maybe a different gearbox, which is obviously just going to be slightly different. The materials or something like that. Obviously, it's hard within the rules what you can change to try to get some benefit. So we're just sort of absolutely trying to scrape everything out of the barrel, as it were. There's obviously not a new bike for next year, so we're trying to get even more out of what we got. But they've been doing that for a lot of years, so it's hard to do that.
Jim hasn't got a silver bullet lined up.
No, it'd be nice, but do you know what? They are working on some stuff. By January test, we're hoping to have a few more things to try, I think. So they know how to win. They've done very well in the past, so I think hopefully we can have some small steps.
What do you need to win, apart from the obvious massive amount of top speed?
Yeah, obviously
That it.
it's quite what's been hard is we've done a lot of debriefs together this year, me and Johnny, and on the Kawasaki, if you get out front like Johnny's been just behind Top Rack and Bautista, it's not too bad. But if you get back in the pack, World Superbikes now from 4th to 12th is a lot tighter than it has been in the last 10 years, I think, or since I joined the championship. And all the bikes are fast. The Honda's really fast top speed. The BMW, yeah, there's bigger guys on the BMW, but that's fast. And it makes it really hard to race in that mid pack. Obviously, that's only going to get worse. So we need to find a way to have a little bit more speed if possible. Also, we need to find a way to when it's cold, we can really ride the bike hard, stop the bike with the front of the front tire, and really use the strengths of the Kawasaki, which is its stability and how you can ride quite aggressive. When it's hot, we can't do that, and that's why we always struggle when the temperatures get, let's say, above 50 degrees. So we need to understand why that is as well.
BMW seem to have that issue with the heat as well.
Yeah, do you know, especially with Pirelli tires, when the grip goes down with these tires, you guys that are riding hard, if you're really braking late, riding on the front, maybe on a bike that don't quite have them as much natural turning or acceleration, then that part of your lap time is gone. So everybody drops a lap time when it gets hot, but we look like we drop a little bit more. Maybe the BMW guys are the same. I don't know what their main. They seem to struggle with rear grip more. I think ours is more of a stopping the bike, which is our biggest problem when it does get hot and sticky.
So that's just it's you need more front grip, and that might take you a little bit closer to.
Yeah, if we can ride, if we can drop, yeah, because some races where it's a little bit cooler, like Barcelona was a perfect example. In the sprint race in the morning, I was able to stay, let's say, I don't know how far I finished, but I think me and Johnny finished within a couple of seconds of Alvaro, maybe even less. I was right there until the last couple of laps. In the afternoon, you're miles away. The difference can be massive. Like nearly at some parts of the race can be 0.7 to a second a lap. And you don't ride that much different as a rider from the morning to the afternoon. But he's able to keep the pace similar and drop a little bit, and we're dropping a lot. And it's not just, yeah, it's not just one of us, so it's both of us. So it's a machine thing that we can't quite ride like we want when it's hot. So some more front grip, maybe a little bit better engine brake, get the bike stopping a little bit better early in the corner rather than forcing the front tire. I think that's some of the areas that we need to focus on. But the biggest problem we've got really in the winter is everything feels great. I did some last week when we was testing. I think I did probably 18 laps or 20 laps in the dry, let's say, and it was still patches. I think I did a 40.3 on old SC0. And I said to Marcel, my crew chief, I said, it's pointless this because the track feels amazing. If I put a new tyre or an SCX in now, I'll do mid 39 and everyone was thinking, oh, everything's great. But it's not. It's the fact that we're always fast when the conditions are cooler. And we haven't got the ability to test in them conditions we haven't got the ability to test. Did I go off then?
Yeah, you're right.
We haven't got the ability to test in them conditions in the winter because everywhere we can test, obviously it's relatively cool. Obviously not as cool as here, but it's still not hot temperatures. So that's something that we really lack. It's a bit of hot weather testing.
Kim's not going to fork out for you to all truck down to Sepang then.
We're not allowed, are we, anymore to do overseas testing? So
not at all.
It'd be worth it.
Not at all.
Now, if you're a European-based team, you test in Europe or you have to nominate somewhere. But it'd be more useful to do 2 days in Sepang than 8 days in Europe. It's nearly pointless riding when it's 20 degrees on the track because everything you change on the bike feels great. The bike turns, the bike stops, everybody's fast. But I've got enough experience now to know that that's not quite the reality. After 2 or 3 races, you're complaining about the same things as before.
Okay, is this only going to be solved with a whole new motorbike?
Yeah, I think that obviously as a team, me, Johnny, the guys that are at the racetrack, the guys in Japan, the guys that are working on the project, we can always make small steps. But when you don't change a bike for a long period, I guess Yamaha will be similar, even though the base bike's a bit newer than the Kawasaki. I mean, the actual base design is I don't know what year it came out. You probably know better than me, but it must be 10 years old. They've had tweaks and a different fairing and some small changes, but the engine and the chassis is 10 years design or more. So there's only so much you can keep trying to scrape a little bit more out of it. And I think they're doing a great job, but the last 2 or 3 years, there's new bikes come into it. Honda with the new bike, Ducati have got a new bike, maybe something more for next year. Obviously, that Bautista suits the bike really well. The way he rides, his size, everything really uses the strengths of that bike, but it highlights some issues that we need to improve.
That was going to be my next thing. How do you solve a problem like Alvaro Bautista?
It's strange because obviously the first year he came in the championship and won all them races at the start easily, really. It was easy for him. And then went to Honda and he was just not an also ran. He did maybe a handful of good races in 2 years, but you're riding with him a lot on a bike that was also fast and it was good on tyres, but you never got the impression riding with him that he was going to jump back on the Ducati and win the World Championship. But he looked so good on that bike, really. I have to give him respect for you can have a speed advantage as much as you want. There's been other guys on the Ducati. To ride all the year, more or less all the time with +0 with either Johnny or Top Rat behind you, not make the mistakes, you've got to give him credit because it doesn't look the easiest bike to ride with some of the other guys. I know sometimes following Scott last year, it wasn't turning well. It looked a bit nervous, but Bautista looked great in all conditions. And yeah, it was so fast. So the speed is one of them. It's easy to sit and complain about the speed because it's so easy to see on telly, but can't just be the speed. There's other guys on the bike that aren't, 10 seconds up the road, for example, when it's hot in Barcelona, or some races have been so easy for him. It's a combination of him, the package and everything, but he does work hard in the practices. He's good on used tires, but having a fast bike does make it a lot easier to race. So it's quite frustrating to race against, but I'm sure, what do? You complain about it or you try to work out the best way you can to try and beat him.
But he does look after his tires very well. That is
it's not just his size. The way he rides the bike is very good. I know when anyone wins, when Johnny was winning on the Kawasaki, because the bike's amazing, or when Bautista's winning, so fast. But the lap times he's doing and how consistent he is, they don't ride itself around the track. So he rides it very well. He doesn't force the bike on the entry to the corner because he doesn't need to. He uses the get on the gas early and uses the exit. So he uses the bike how that bike should be ridden, and that's why together they work really well. I think on the Honda, he had the most crashes in World Superbike both years. And I think this year he's hardly crashed. He's one of the least. So it just shows you how confident he feels on the bike.
But just in terms of his size, I mean, you're not the biggest person in the world.
6 foot.
What do you? Yeah. How much do you
Naked or with my leathers on?
weigh? With your leathers on.
I'm about 67 kilo with naked. So 77, 78, depending on the race and the time of year. Let's say 78 on average.
That's not a
which
lot,
is
is it?
It's not too bad, no. But it's let's say what I'm weighing naked. Bautista's a bit less than that with his leathers and that on, but that obviously helps a little bit. But there's some things that probably don't help as much. But I don't know.
It's just trying to draw because on when you watch this on TV and everybody says, "Oh, he's this small and he's that small," and when you've got what are you 5'8", 5'7", 5'8",
9.
7? I'm 5'9", 5. Anyway, it's just and he's not that. You're not that much taller than him, is he? He's just like a tight, a small thing like you can fit in a backpack.
I still am quite a bit. I'm short, but I'm still a lot taller. He's very short. He's small. He's a small guy, but obviously it should be a bit harder to move the bike around. And Portimao should have been a difficult track. I think he won there as well. So,
I mean, if you are that small and that light, does that not make it harder at the start of the race?
Yeah, maybe. He said it's harder to heat tyres up, but then in Australia, he rode around in the wet on slicks and he was all right. So he blew that theory out the window.
Yeah, didn't he win a MotoGP race or nearly on a Ducati in the rain?
He finished fourth, I think, didn't he? He was leading for a long time. But I think he did. Yeah,
it's a bit like you.
Joe, what? For me, it's like I'm in the middle of the riders. I'll be similar to Top Rack. I'll be the average sort of weight. But people like Camille when he was riding, or Loris Bowles or Scott, if you compare them to Bautista, then you've got two extremes, and there's a massive gap there. Whereas me, I'm quite a bit lighter than them guys. I'm a bit heavier than him, and Javi Vieja on the Honda, he's really light as well. So I'm like middle of the roads. But if you ask a heavy guy, it's going to be a big issue. If you ask the light guy, weight is a disadvantage. You're always going to get that, aren't you, in the argument? But I'm sure there's, Loris Baz is a big guy. He tries to keep his weight down. There's only so much he can do, health wise, to really get down skinny. So maybe when they're speaking about the weight limit, something like that, when you've got so many extremes, it might not be a bad idea because there's other classes obviously where they are doing that.
Now, presumably you're a fan of a weight limit. Should it be brought in? Are you? You think it should happen?
I don't mind really. I think that if they did, I don't mind because just being selfish, in my situation, I guess the weight limit, they'd have to do it around a bike and rider, and I guess the average rider will be similar to what I am, so it won't make much difference for me. So from a selfish point of view, it'd be similar for me. I'll still have a bit of an advantage over the heavier guys, and Bautista and the lighter guys will come up to my sort of weight. So selfishly, it'd be quite good for me. But I don't know. I think we need to be careful not to. The whole point of superbike racing is the fastest. To push people, bringing new bikes, and the best road bike is showcased on track. And we just need to keep working. All the guys that are behind need to work hard to improve. Kawasaki need to keep pushing to improve. Like we said, the bike's a little bit older. If they brought a new bike out, it would be better. And it's already some races were very competitive, and then it'll bring you in line with them. So it's that one. I don't think we need to jump to conclusions and just say, "I was won because of the weight. We need to do this. We need to do that." Obviously, the racing, we don't want to see guys passing easily and big differences. But I think that Ducati and Alvaro did a good job. That's got to be, you got to say well done first, and then try to understand what happens next year. And I think the BMW are bringing a new bike out. Yamaha will always make small steps, especially I think the relationship with the MotoGP team and some of the electronics is always improving over there. And I'm sure Kawasaki are going to make some steps. So I don't know how big the gap will be. It was a lot closer this year, I think.
Yeah.
Johnny to Bautista than 2019, even when Bautista won them 11 races. He was long gone, where he had some chances this year. Sometimes in the heat, definitely not. But that's not just the speed. That's other parts of our bike which we can improve, mainly the stopping. We don't lose any more at the end of the straight in the heat than in the cold. It's just that we can't use the entry and the way we can ride the bike on the entry as well in the heat. So we should focus on that area because it's something that we can improve.
You're going to have some more fairly serious opposition next year.
Yeah.
You've got two ex-MotoGP guys coming in. One virtually well, they're both rookies, but you've got Danilo who's coming in at, I don't know, a Scott Redding size rider,
Yeah.
and you've got Remy who's never ridden a superbike yet, who's going to come in as basically a works Yamaha rider. This is going to make your life a bit harder, isn't it?
Yeah, it will do. But I think the level of world superbikes is quite high. I think speaking with, I've got a few mutual friends with Remy. I know Remy a little bit. Obviously, my brother knows him well. And then world superbikes are a high level. If you think Top Rack and JR, them guys are not going to turn up at the first race and be battling with them. I don't think. So they're going to be in that next group, which obviously, makes life harder for me. But I think I'm riding at a better level than Remy Gardner would probably think. Who's Alex Lowe's on the second Kawasaki? Well, I'll beat him straight away. And it won't work like that. I know the championship I'm riding as good as I've ridden. The lap times, obviously, have been very fast. And it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be as easy for them as they think, personally. I'm not saying I think it's going to be easy, but I think the championship's tough now. It's easy to be 12th. It's easy to be 12th one week, 5th the next week. And I don't need to worry about that. I need to worry about trying to be as close as possible to Johnny and them guys. And if you're doing that, you're never going to be too far away from the front.
You've also got another Brit coming in, because World Superbikes needs some more British riders, with Brad. Is he going to get a bit of a shock, do you think?
I think he's obviously a quality rider. This year, some of the lap times he did in BSB were mega. I think the team's a nice little team. Obviously, they're just doing the European races, I think Shaky was saying. And it's almost a little bit better, I feel, in some ways, a bit of pressure off. Do a bit more testing in Europe under the radar. And I think the team's a good little team. Florian, that works for me, rode for them in the past in Super Stock. And there's always a well-organised team. They've got a decent guy on electronics, which is important for World Superbike. And obviously, Brad needs to get used to the electronics a bit more. I know that he really, really enjoyed riding the Yamaha this year, so he wanted to stay on the Yamaha. And I think he'll go well. But I think that it's a big step up now from it's always been a step up. You could take 85, 90, you could take 95% of them guys to Alton Park, Cadwell Park, and they wouldn't even see which way Brad's gone. But they wouldn't. That's how it is. But it's not always the same going the other way. Obviously, Brad has some experience on the European tracks. He's a good kid. He's talented, and I'm looking forward to having him in the championship. And I don't know what he's expecting. Depends if he expects to be top 6, then it might be hard work. But top 10, there's plenty of other satellite Yamahas with Baldassari, Agata, Remy. He's got plenty of stuff to aim at. Do you know what I mean? And judge his performance. But it's a tough year. So the period of World Superbikes now, it's tough to join as a rookie and be, immediately in the top 6 or 8 positions, I think.
What did you think when you heard that Danilo was going to come in on the Barney bike? Do you think it's good for the championship to have not kind of older, more experienced guys instead of having more youngsters? Because obviously Taz was looking for something to do, and he now probably hasn't got a World Superbike ride because I do wonder sometimes what Dorna's idea is by saying, actually, yes, bring in somebody who's basically given up racing motorbike.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends what his motivation is. I think I'm an older guy now, so I like it when older guys keep getting rides. Otherwise, I have to stay at home. But Petrucci is a big name, and he could suit Joe with the bike straight away and be at the front. Another Italian on the Ducati, so he could do really well. Obviously, he's a good name for World Superbike, so maybe that's what they think. Try and promote the series a bit more. But I would like to have seen Taz get a chance. Also, last year after he won the championship, to get a chance to move straight up, he had an unlucky year this year. But I think him and Brad deserve good rides in World Superbike, and not just 1 year, a couple of years to get used to it and show what they can do. So, I don't know the answer, obviously, because a smaller team like Barney, maybe for sponsorship and stuff like that, Danilo would pull a bit more money in or a bit more. You know, they're if them small Italian satellite teams are, you know, they work a little bit different to you think with sponsorship and stuff like that. So maybe that's more to do with it. I don't really know.
But finally, what's your plan now? Because you've got another year with Kawasaki. You've got your twins, which I still think is hilarious that there are more Lowe's twins, because we need more Lowe's twins,
The
obviously.
world does not need any more Lowe's twins, does it?
Are there more Lowe's twins? It's like there's not another one of your mum knocking around somewhere, is there?
No, I don't think so. Not that I know of.
There isn't a Donna twin somewhere.
There's not a Donna twin anywhere.
God for that.
No Donna twin. Yeah.
But is it,
yeah. My plan is every rider sits here and says, "I am riding as good as I've ridden and all the rest of it." But I genuinely am. I rode really well at parts this year, and if I want to make a step to challenge Johnny a lot more. Some races the second part of the year in qualifying, I had a bit better speed than him, and some good races. So that's my only focus, to make a good step, trying to be on the podium more, win some races again. Not won enough races, and if I do that and I'm competitive and I'm at the front, especially with the more big names coming in, if I can keep in front of them and show that I'm riding well, and I hope to stay another few years in World Superbike before changing nappies full time. Hopefully they can get to the school age before I have to sit at home and annoy them all. But honestly, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying my riding because I've got a good balance between family life and riding life, and I've got full motivation to try to make next year the best one yet in Superbike for me. So that's quite simple, really.
are we ever going to see the Lowe's versus Lowe's race?
I hope so.
That we've been talking about this since 2005, 6, 4.
Yeah, it's 2006, a long time since we've been together.
Avoid it.
He's running scared, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not going to drop. I'm not going to drop down. I'm not going to move across the motor two. He needs to come up. I'm a player that he's just scared. He's scared of the power, isn't he? He's been doing a bit of riding on the R1 to get used to his shoulder, and I'm sure he don't hold it flat out.
Well, I looked at I saw his lap time at Jerez, and I wasn't that impressed with it, really.
It wasn't that bad, really, because he was on a totally stopped bike. So I've not told him that, but and them Dunlop slicks, them Dunlop slicks are rock hard. There's some patches. They're not the Pirelli. Thing is with Pirelli, when it's cold, even a bit patchy, where you've not got the patches, it's like a qualifying tire. You can go out the pits on your outlap and it just feels amazing. His Dunlops are a bit different to that. I think he used the same tires for about 40 laps, and they still look brand new. So it's quite funny, actually. There's some of the silliest tires, how the actual difference that they make. But obviously, I was giving her some stick when I was out there.
Good. Right, Alex, thank you very much indeed.
No problem. I'll speak to you in the new year.
Yeah, well, or I'll talk to you when you're down at Phillip Island or something for testing.
Yeah, when the new all the new parts arrive, and we're topping them top speeds and going crazy even when it's hot.
And all that stuff.
All that stuff, yeah. We'll speak to you about it in February.
Marvellous. Thank you very much, mate.
Thanks, mate. Look after yourself, and I'll speak to you soon.